What's up, everybody? This is Chris Nichols, and you're listening to an episode of the Nichols and Dimes Show featuring Maxx Holdrieth. Enjoy. You don't know what I'm about to do. Big explosion, get away.
What's up, Max?
What's going on, my man?
Dude, thanks for coming over.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad we can make this happen.
Yeah, I'm stoked to have you on. You're up to some cool stuff with Troov and everything else in personal training, so stoked to get into it all with you.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Hell yeah. Well, guys, let me give you a quick intro right now because I'm here with Maxx Holdrieth, who is CEO and founder of Troov, which is an all-natural plant-based energy tea. He's also a personal trainer and peak performance coach. He's from Columbus, Ohio, and currently is based out of San Diego. Man, so it's been really cool to see what you're working on, dude, and all this stuff with Troov, and I've tried it, of course. It's fucking awesome. Man, I would love to hear about your journey from growing up in Ohio into what brought you to entrepreneurship. What was your life like growing up?
Sure, man. Well, first, I appreciate the nod to Troov. I appreciate you giving it a try and testing it out. So it's been fun to finally get the product in the market and just get it in the hands of people who I think would be stoked on it. And that's been amazing to just hear people's feedback. So I appreciate the positive review. In terms of growing up entrepreneurship, I mean, I kind of fell into entrepreneurship, I guess, unknowingly. I guess if I were to look back, I was always a bit into entrepreneurship. I was kind of always into just business, from lemonade stands as a kid to cutting grass as a kid. In college, I kind of wanted to study entrepreneurship. Ended up going the exercise science route with like a minor in marketing. But anyways, I'm from Columbus, Ohio. And I forget what was your what was the full question there?
So yeah, dude. I mean that's funny. It's so common how people get started into entrepreneurship. They always have multiple stories with it. I was just more curious about what your life was growing up. Like where'd you go to school, and what were you interested in doing at that time?
Yeah.
So like, what'd you study in college, and then since when really was entrepreneurship interesting to you?
Yeah, sure. So all the way back in so I grew up in Ohio, played sports as a kid. When I was going to college, I think a lot of people, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Didn't know what I wanted to major in. Ended up going to the University of Cincinnati. So I'm from Columbus, Ohio, a big Buckeye fan.
Hell yeah. All right.
Wanted to but I grew up like 15 minutes away from campus. So kind of wanted to get a couple hours away. So Cincinnati was like 3 hours south. So I had some buddies going there. Ended up deciding to go to Cincinnati, in large part because they had a dope rec center. And they also had a sweet downtown campus. And so when I was deciding on what to do, I read a quote once in a book that's like a very common quote. It's like the whole, do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah. And I'm like, shit, never working a day in my life. That sounds goddamn.
Yeah.
I don't really want to work. Like, that sounds sick. I was like thinking, what do I like to do? I was like, man, I love lifting weights. I played basketball in high school, and I was just like, I love the weight room. Like my dad got me into it at a young age. Me, him, and my brother would lift weights, and like, I just loved the weight room. And so I was like,
how old were you when you started lifting?
About 13 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. So I used to lift weights just with my dad down the basement, like super bodybuilding style back. This was like the early 90s. I don't think we ever hit legs, just straight like three days a week, just like chest, shoulders, arms,
Was your dad a big lifter?
Yeah, he's a big lifter.
Okay.
A big lifter. And I think, I was stoked. Like I was at a point in my life where it just like gave me a lot of confidence as a male, at that age, like 14, I was like, sophomore in high school or something, get into like liking girls, and it just like having, at that age you can put on muscle like super quick,
for sure,
strong, super quick.
Yeah.
So it just gave me so much confidence. I just loved the way it made me feel.
I remember those days.
Yeah, it was great. Those are like the best times. Like I wish I could go back and just get those gains so easily.
Yeah, dude.
So basically I took that. I was like I said, I loved it in high school, and when I was deciding on what to do, I'm like, man, like I think I'm going to study exercise science. Like I like exercise a lot. Mm-hmm. So ended up going to University of Cincinnati, and they had an exercise science program. So I was like, all right, this sounds like what I want to do.
Nice. Mm-hmm. So you obviously had a passion for fitness in general, exercising from your whole life growing up, middle school through high school, and to the point where you brought it to college with you, that you actually wanted to study it to make it a career. Mm-hmm. And you said the sports you played, you said basketball, right?
Yep.
Was there anything else that you kind of drove you into fitness?
Not really. I mean, just the way it made me feel, the way it made me look. Like I said, the confidence it gave me, like for mental health, it was amazing. And I love the body transformation, right? I mean, that was awesome. I kind of liked the whole bodybuilding style of lifting back then. And then when I got into college and started studying it, I really got into sports performance training, which it's different than bodybuilding.
Right.
It's way more movement focused and movement pattern focused, and there's a lot more intricacies, and there's a lot more periodization and science behind it. And I really just I ran with it. I took some anatomy classes and I took some exercise physiology classes. I was like, this stuff is awesome. So as soon as I got into college, I was kind of like, yeah, man, I think this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Now, throughout college, I didn't know what I would do with that degree. My dad is in business. He always kind of encouraged me to get into something more business related. And so,
what does your dad do?
My dad is the CEO of a company.
Got it. Okay.
So
cool. So that's actually, I'm glad you said that, because that it shows where you kind of got your track from, your desire to be a CEO yourself in a way.
Sure. Absolutely. Like I probably wouldn't have admitted that until maybe a year or two ago, because I didn't really see it as clearly. But you grow, like, business to me is second nature, because it was talked about in our house, like anything. I mean, I didn't know that other houses didn't talk about that, but looking back, obviously, I was just kind of ingrained in me to kind of see everything through the lens of business.
Oh yeah, definitely a common theme I've seen with people on this podcast.
Okay,
as well. Yeah,
that's cool, and I think that is a big piece of a lot of people who end up being entrepreneurs.
Sure.
But of course, being like a young kid and stuff, I didn't want to do like what my dad did. And I was like, man, I don't want to be a businessman. I want to be something way cool. Like, this is boring.
Bodybuilder,
that shit's so boring.
Be Arnold. Yeah,
exactly. I was gonna get buff all the time, like train athletes, and like this will be sweet. So in college, it was a cool path. So I studied. I had a minor in marketing because of that nudge from like my dad about business. And I all along, this is actually come full circle. It's pretty cool. I all along said, man, I'd be cool if I was like a sales rep for like a supplement company.
Yeah.
I was actually. Do you know who like Corey Gregory is?
I don't think so.
So do you know the brand Muscle Farm?
Yeah.
Okay, so and they're not that big anymore. They used to actually sponsor
MP
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. So Corey Gregory is this big bodybuilder dude in Ohio, and which is where I'm from. And he was like the vice president or co-founder of Muscle Farm. And they like got Arnold Schwarzenegger as a spokesperson, and that was when I was in college. I was like, man, like I need to work for this company. I'm gonna be so sick if I worked for like this company. And so I sent out a bunch of like resumes to companies like that.
Okay.
Who's the Muscle Milk? Like On It. I sent one.
Okay.
And all the big name supplement companies. I was like, man, it'd be really cool to like work as a sales rep for all of these.
Absolutely.
Got crickets. Never heard back from any of them. And so it was getting towards the end of my degree, and I was working at the rec center at Cincinnati, and I ended up getting certified as a personal trainer. And I ended up doing in my college, you do what's called like a practicum and an internship. Like a practicum is basically just like a short, like 6-week internship, and then an internship was like a full semester. And I ended up interning at this place called Cincinnati Functional Fitness.
Okay.
And that's where I met like my first really good mentor called, his name was Scott Goodpaster, founder of that gym, really awesome sports performance gym in Cincinnati. And that for the first time was when I got like really exposed to personal training, and I fell in love with it like immediately. The gym it was a mom and pop gym, and that's also my first exposure to entrepreneurship. Really.
Got it. Okay.
I guess I had some people in my family, my uncle and stuff is an entrepreneur, but my dad has always been like a corporate business leader.
For sure.
But Scott ran his own gym.
Yeah.
Right? He had it wasn't like a Lifetime Fitness. I'd only worked out at gyms like that before. I was like, oh man, this is cool. Like he runs his own gym. So like he has different styles of training, different beliefs.
You saw what it's like to get your hands dirty with a small team.
Exactly. And kind of you could be a leader, and there was a business aspect, but there was also a fitness aspect. For the first time I saw like fitness and business blend, right? That was really cool.
Yeah.
So I was so what did I do? I did a practicum there, and then I got hired there. And so while I was working in college, while I was in college, I started training there.
Yeah.
And the gym was awesome. I saw like firsthand the transformation that clients went through. And like I saw the belief that you instilled in clients, and it's still one of my favorite parts. To this day is like I think there's like a large carryover effect from working out and fitness to everyday life, and a lot of times it's really like a carryover of confidence and belief in oneself, right? So a lot of people who come in, especially if they're a little overweight, and a lot of females as well, when you get them really strong, when they're not exposed to like lifting heavy before, and like all of a sudden it's like, this high school girl and she's like deadlifting at 135 pounds, and like she's seeing her body transform,
right?
Or someone who's shedding 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Like their whole like it's not just like the fact that they lost 20 pounds, like their whole outlook on life, they come in more happy, like they're like, oh man, like I went for that job promotion, like their entire outlook on life changes.
Yep.
And it was so addicting and powerful.
Oh man,
like that's so cool to be a catalyst like in their journey, I'm just teaching them something. Like I think most people get into fitness, like we just like to exercise, right? And a large part of the population doesn't like that.
Right.
But I'm like, I just get to teach people something I used to do, like in my basement with my dad, like something I just absolutely love. Like it's fucking sick to me. And I'm teaching someone about this. They're getting stronger, and all of a sudden, they're stoked on it, and it's like transforming their life. I'm like, this is sweet, man. Like hell yeah, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah, I love that. So you really so this was during that, I guess, would you call it an internship experience?
This was the first 6 weeks were like a practicum, and then I was already certified as a personal trainer, and I got hired there. I was actually an employee there while I was in college. So I started having my own clients, training some like high school athletes and things of that nature while I was there in college.
What types of athletes were you starting off with?
So when I was at Cincinnati Functional Fitness, it was a lot of grade school athletes.
Okay.
So that's who they put me in with.
Kids.
Yeah, a lot of kids, which was really, really fun. Kids are really open to trying new things. And you also have to be creative about holding their attention. They're not really interested in just sitting there and doing push-ups and squats. Like you tend to do a lot more dynamic training with them, and like cerebral training where you're doing like reaction and proprioception. It's like you're standing on one leg, like throwing them a tennis ball and like holding up fingers for them to like recognize.
Interesting, yeah.
Cool. I mean, which are good exercises for every population to do, but a lot of times as people get older, they're not interested in that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a fun population to train.
I bet, yeah, especially to start with. You probably, I don't know if you'd agree, but I think it's especially a good place to start because of the creativity would be required out of you to train them and keep their attention to try new things where maybe they're kind of all over the place, though their bodies aren't fully developed, obviously. So I don't know, it's extra focused on like the technique perhaps or the movements they're doing. Yeah,
big time. So what's cool is Scott Goodpasture, the owner of this gym, he instilled in me in the beginning. He's like, when you're a trainer, you're an artist. And I didn't really know what he meant in the beginning, but it's a lot. You have what people need and what people want to do, right? And you have to meet them in the middle. It's a blend for everyone, right? Because you have different personality types. And kids, like, they're really malleable. And at the age I was at, it's less likely for a 40-year-old to take some 20-year-old college person. They don't want the college kid to tell them something that they have to do that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
But a kid will, right? A kid who's younger than you can actually be that mentor. And then you throw in the fact that, it takes creativity because you're like, okay, I want to get this kid stronger. I need to teach him these movement patterns. I need to find the right cues to teach him these movement patterns. I also need to disguise these movement patterns as not being super boring and keep his attention and keep him, because at the end of the day, the only way he gets better is if his parents and him keep on bringing him here. So if he only comes in 1 to 2 times, right, he's not going to get better. So that's I started to learn the sales process. Like I said, the blend of like giving people both what they want and what they need, and learning how to tailor it towards them. And so that was a cool experience.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So wow. So you really got your personal training career started while you were still in college. Then you got your degree, and was it exercise science? What'd you call it?
It was in exercise science.
Okay.
Yep.
And then did you just continue doing that work after you graduated? What came after that? Like bring us to today.
Yep. So when I was training at Cincinnati Functional Fitness, actually a pretty good story. So let me backpedal a little bit. I was in Cincinnati. I had always had like the dream of moving to California or Florida, from the Midwest. I'm like, I just need to get somewhere sunny.
For sure.
had came out to LA before, didn't really like it. That was my only experience. I didn't know anyone there. I was there for like 48 hours. I'm like, man, I don't know if this is for me. It was like, super gloomy, as it is here in San Diego now, but it was super gloomy. I was thinking it was gonna be sunny. There's traffic everywhere.
Yeah.
So my brother though ended up looking at colleges in San Diego. So I went on a family trip with him to check out colleges in San Diego. This is when I was still in college. I'm like, oh, San Diego's pretty rad. Like, this place is sweet.
Yeah.
Now, for the end of my college degree, I actually had to do a 3-month internship.
Okay.
So at the time, I was thinking, man, screw the internship. I already have a personal training job at a place I love.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make money. Like, I'm not gonna work for free. Like, I'm gonna make like 10 grand, like being a personal trainer full time. Just a couple months. Like, I'll come out of college ahead. Like, this will be sweet. And I go on this trip to San Diego, and a couple weeks later, it's like literally like a week before the deadline to apply for an internship, and I'm talking to this other trainer at Cincinnati Functional Fitness, and I'm like, hey man, like, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm gonna forego the internship. Like, I'm just gonna work here, man, and make some money. He's like, dude, like, you shouldn't do that. Like, this is your one opportunity to get some really good experience and work for free, because I did this awesome sports performance internship with this guy named Todd Durkin, who's a huge professional athlete trainer in San Diego. I could connect you with him if you want. And at the time, I didn't even know. So Todd Durkin's huge in the fitness industry. If you look him up, he's massive. Everyone knows this guy.
Okay.
I didn't know who he was. Well, I was like, dude, it's in San Diego. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, I'll clean toilets in San Diego, man. Like, like connected you with this dude. Like,
That's
let's
so
go.
funny. Yeah.
So I end up taking this internship at a place called Fitness Quest 10. It's out in Scripps Ranch. Actually, just got Troov into them on their shelf as of this week. When
there we go.
Trainer, so that's pretty cool. Full circle story.
Sweet.
But going back to what got me out here is so I started at this internship at Fitness Quest 10. It was a sports performance internship. And Todd trains like Drew Brees, used to train with LaDainian Tomlinson. So they had a bunch of athletes coming in there, helped out with like the NFL Combine program. And training at Fitness Quest 10 completely opened up my eyes to entrepreneurship on another level. So Scott's business in Cincinnati was awesome. It was a gym. He was doing great. But still, as a trainer in Ohio, I wasn't sold on if I could make that a career. I was like, I don't know if I can make enough money. It's a grind.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I see a way out.
Yeah.
When I went to intern at Todd's, I was like, oh wow, like first off, Southern California, like, man, like trainers out here get paid different. Like, I mean, they were charged like back, and things have changed since then, but like back then, I think like in Cincinnati, they were charging like $65, $70 a session. Here in San Diego, they're already charged like $100, right? So already, they're charging more money.
For sure.
But besides that, like the environment, like you have NFL athletes coming for their off-season training.
Right.
Like, oh, wow. Like in Ohio, you're not training a lot of professional athletes in the off-season, right? Because like the way professional athlete training goes is they train with their team normally during the season. It's during the off-season that if you own a gym, you have the chance to train them.
Yeah.
You're only training them if you're in Miami, LA, San Diego.
True. Because they'll go different places off season.
Because they have a vacation house there. They're going to train with you 3 or 4 months. So I saw that. And then the other thing I saw from Todd, though, is he is a thoroughbred entrepreneur. He's authored 3 different books. He has a podcast. He had a mastermind group. I mean, he's got every single thing in the coaching space, in terms of monetization, this guy has. And I saw just entrepreneurship on another level. I was like, oh, well, I'm like, wow, there's a way to make it like in the fitness industry, like being an entrepreneur. I was like, and from that internship, I learned how to train a wide variety of population, everyone from, your regular, mom, 30 to 40-year-old mom who just wants to get a little healthier and lose some weight, all the way up to professional athletes. So I got firsthand exposure on how to program for them, but also how the environment of having them in a gym worked. And then also on how, in addition to training, how like he had acupuncturists, massage therapists, physical therapists, mastermind, like he had so many different add-ons for revenue.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That like stoked my entrepreneurial fire if I were to look back. And so that was the internship. So what happened when that internship ended, I decided to stay out here. And the story for that, and I apologize if I'm going on this.
No.
Okay. All right. So this story goes that basically I'm training at Fitness Quest 10.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks into this internship, it's January, and I had just driven out with my mom from Ohio. It's snowing in Ohio. Get to San Diego, it's like 70 and sunny. So basically, within 2 weeks, I'm like, yeah, like this internship's sick.
Yep.
I'm in like the mecca of like the fitness and wellness community.
Yep.
Like I love what I'm doing. Like I'm staying in San Diego. Like I don't care what it takes. Like I'm staying here.
Yep.
So keep in mind, I'm still in college. So I'm still taking some classes online while I'm doing this internship. Living in a place with like 4 random people from Craigslist over in like UTC.
Yeah.
And towards the end of my internship, I start going around to gyms to work out at to see where I would want to train at. And so I'm training at gyms. I would like to work at Fitness Quest 10, but at this time they're packed with trainers. And so it seems like they don't have an opportunity for me immediately.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, well, I got to find somewhere else.
Okay, but so you got the experience being around there, but you said you were kind of doing it like for free, was it?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So the internship was free, but it was full time. So it was 40 hours a week. Yeah, but it was completely unpaid. I had to come out of pocket to pay for my living. But in addition to so how a fitness internship works is there's different designs. Basically, I had full access to shadow any trainer I wanted.
Yeah.
I got to teach a couple group fitness classes, which is huge exposure as a trainer. I mean, it takes a lot of courage and balls to like orchestrate like a 20 to 30 person class, like, when you're just starting out.
Right.
So you got to do that. I got to go to like Todd's, a couple different of his retreats and masterminds. And then there was also like they had an actually internship coordinator who like would like help us with program design and all sorts of stuff. So it's a really thorough internship. It's definitely a top notch internship in the sports performance realm.
Yep, for sure. Okay. So that really changed your perspective on what was possible in this industry as a trainer.
Totally. You
came out to one of the premier gyms that takes on people like the premier NFL athletes, pro athletes, and so forth in San Diego. Pretty much the mecca. SoCal is probably the mecca in the U.S. at least for fitness and wellness, right?
Yep.
And your mind just expanded big time with that.
Yep. Yeah. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm going to be a personal trainer for a career. I'm like, shit. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Like I'm going to be a personal trainer. Like, I'm like, I see a path. Like, I can do this. Like, in addition to being a personal trainer, I know I can eventually, maybe do some other kinds of coaching. Like, there's all these different, like, it opened up for me, like, oh, I don't have to be boxed into just working at like a Lifetime Fitness. Like, there's a lot of entrepreneurial, avenues to be a trainer. So I start like working out at gyms to see which one I would like. And the reason I bring this up is because everything kind of happened very serendipitously. So out here for this internship that I wasn't even planning on doing. All of a sudden I love it. I'm like, I'm going to stay here. And start working out at gyms. And being in Southern California, I wanted a gym with a sick outdoor area. So I worked out at a spot called La Jolla Sports Club. It was like downstairs and didn't have an outdoor area. I'm like, nope, not for me. And I go work out at a spot called Point Loma Sports Club, which is still there. Epic gym, like epic facility, huge outdoor area. I mean, like 50-foot ceilings, like CrossFit rig. I'm like, this spot's sick. Like, how would I train people here? And so I interview at both spots. And I forget all the sequence of it, but I kick it off with the guy named Justin Powell at La Jolla Sports Cup because he's from Ohio. Okay. So I have this Ohio and so we hit it off. He's like, dude, you're a Buckeye fan. I'm a Buckeye fan. Like, let's be friends. And they offer me a job at La Jolla Sports Cup. I'm like, man, I don't think I want to take this. I think I want to go to Point Loma Sports Club. And so I go to the Point Loma Sports Club guy, and we interview there. He's like, yeah, man, like we'd love to have you on board. And I tell him, I'm like, okay, man, cool. Like I'm going to take this. Like I had a job offer for La Jolla Sports Club, but I want to work for you guys. He's like, listen, man, I used to be a manager at like a gym in La Jolla, for like 20 years. And I'm telling you, if you want to be a personal trainer, you should go train at La Jolla Sports Club, not here, because the amount of money that these guys make because of the clientele La Jolla Sports Club has and where it's positioned at. He's like, their trainers just do way better, man. So you should go train there. I was like, wow, dude, like what a stand-up guy. I'm like, like wow. I'm like, okay, like this guy's telling me like I should go train at La Jolla Sports Club. Like I should.
Interesting.
I should go train there. And so I did. So I went. So basically, I got hired at La Jolla Sports Club. A week or 2 weeks before I was supposed to graduate college, literally get on at La Jolla Sports Club. They give me every client or every new member gets a free training session. They give me a couple of these guys. I close like a couple sales before I even graduate. Dude, I literally have 2 clients. I 2 clients before I graduate. I fly out to I fly back to Cincinnati. I graduate, and like 2 days later, I jet back to San Diego. I'm like, all right, I'm in San Diego. Let's go.
Wow, good for you. Not missing a beat.
Not missing a beat. I'm like, let's do this.
Okay.
So I got hired at Lloyd Sports Cup, and then I also strategically, because the way the structure of training at this gym, they offered a really good commission, but they didn't offer. I don't think they offered at the time and hours outside of training. So I had to build my client roster.
Yeah.
So then I got hired at a place called Fitwall, which was a really cool group training fitness facility up in Solana Beach. It was nice about that is like they would hire you for like 20 hours a week at like a set rate of like $25 an hour. So I basically was like, all right, if I work like 20 hours a week, like $25 an hour, I can pay my rent.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going to come out here. I can pay my rent teaching group fitness classes. I'm going to do that until I build up enough clients in La Jolla to go full-time training.
Okay. Wow. Incredible. So what was there a point where you completely went independent or did you always partner at least or work for these gyms as you had your client list?
Yeah. So how it went was basically, so I was working at Fitwall in Lloyd Sports Cup for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I think a year and a half. And in that year and a half, I built up enough clients at La Jolla Sports Cup to quit Fitwall. And I trained at La Jolla Sports Cup, and it was a fantastic gym, a great community. The trainers were awesome. Like, I mean, still most of my best friends here in San Diego come from La Jolla Sports Cup. Trained there until the pandemic, and pandemic happened.
Forgot about that.
Yep, it shut down Lloyd Sports Cup.
Yeah,
and Lloyd Sports Cup ended up not opening back up. They sold to a gym called Balance Fitness and reopened a different location. And what happened though? I had such a tight knit group of clients that I had for like 5, 6. Most of my clients have had for like 5, 6 years.
Yeah. When did you graduate Cincinnati again?
I graduated from Cincinnati in 2016.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So most of my clients I've had 5, 6 years. And what was cool about the pandemic, I was living at a house on Mount Soledad, and my landlord was cool. We had a 3-car garage or 2 or 3 car garage. Regardless, I was like, hey, can I remodel the garage into a gym? Like, I want to like throw down like gym flooring and like make it legit. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, just like get insurance on it. Wow. I was like, okay. So all my clients are in La Jolla. A lot of them lived on the hill. So I remodeled my garage into a gym, and I took all my clients there. And then so that happened during the pandemic. And then just recently, as of about 3 months ago, we had to move out of that spot. I moved back into PB to no longer have a gym in my spot, but most of my clients have built home gyms. So I do that. And obviously I've launched Troov, so I've kind of just tapped the brakes on training full time, do it more part time now, and do it mostly out of my clients' houses.
Okay, that is a good transition. But before that, so you mentioned most of your clients have home gyms. What type? Yeah. What type of profile of a person are you training? Are these successful people? Like what?
Yeah, all my clients are super, super successful. I mean,
okay. How'd you build that type of client list?
Being in La Jolla.
Yeah.
That guy, man, he was such a blessing to me to tell me to train at La Jolla, because I can't thank that guy enough. I mean, the La Jolla community has been amazing to me. There are some amazing people there, and what's cool about being a trainer, I always say, I've always had like a vision of doing something more and more. So it's kind of in my personality. And I always joke with my clients, like they think that, they're paying me to train them. Really, they're paying me to be my mentor, because so many of them have been amazing business people. And like, we just talk about like business and like life.
Oh, that's so
right?
Cool.
Like
that's so cool.
My female clients, like we talk about like dating and women and stuff. Yeah, and then and my male clients, what I do most of my male clients are CEOs, former C-suite executives, right? And I'm like, and I train them for 5, 6 years, an hour 2 to 3 times a week. So it's just like an education session. And so like that, awesome. Like I can't even tell you how much I've learned from my clients.
Oh my gosh. That's huge what you just shared there. Because perfect transition into starting Troov. I'm sure you got a ton of inspiration from your clients to start your own business in addition to personal training. Big time.
Yeah. So they were the catalyst. I mean, one of my clients came on as an early investor, and it helped me tremendously through this entire process.
Okay. So let's talk about it. Yeah. Let's talk Troov. So when did you start? I usually add this in the introduction, but we'll just talk about it here. First of all, when did you found Troov? And then when did the idea came to mind? Maybe you can start with the idea and then lead us up to the founding.
Yeah. So, I mean, the long answer is probably that the idea has been germinating forever, right? If I were to look back, right, I told you in college, I was looking at becoming a sales rep for a supplement company. So I mean, now I'm running a beverage company, right? So I think I've always been interested in the space, in not just, you know, fitness and weightlifting, but also in supplements. I've taken, you know, protein powders and stuff for as long as they have existed. I've grown up in that industry and seen it transform a lot. So I think the idea has always kind of been germinating. As to how the process went, really was taking it another step back here. Right before I moved out to San Diego, I was having a lot of autoimmune issues, and it was mainly showing up in my life as really, really severe cystic acne. And this was as someone who's never dealt with anything like that, and had a fair amount of confidence in my looks and just like as a person. This was like really fucking traumatic to me. I'm like, whoa, like what is going on? You know, and I was a senior in college. I was so embarrassed. I was like, man, it's so embarrassing. And I was studying, you know, nutrition in college, and I just remember like in a nutrition class, they were like this, like the nutritionist is like, yeah, when there's like inflammation in your body, inflammation can be caused by eating certain foods, and a lot of times like that can like cause like achy joints and like things in like in acne is a source of inflammation. And I was like, I'm like, inflammation. I'm like, so acne, like maybe there's like inflammation in my body, like shit, like I should like take a look at my diet. And I also like went to see a dermatologist, but dermatologists, because of the severity, they really wanted to put me on Accutane. I like didn't like the side effects. I'm like, dude, I mean, like, and listen, I think everyone's completely unique. I mean, I have nothing against taking people who take that. Like, I think it's honestly a rad solution if you need it. But like, I just like something inside of me, right? I was just like, I just don't think I really want to do that yet. And so it set me on this path of functional medicine. So I was like looking for, I wanted a natural remedy. I didn't know what I was looking for, to be honest. I didn't know about naturopathic doctors. I didn't know about anything. What I did know is like, I was like, okay, and this is once again nothing, like I think naturopathic doctors are amazing, but at the time I was like, okay, I want someone who's like an MD and a naturopath. Like how do they get both? Like, what if there's something really wrong with me? Like, I don't know. I was like, I was like freaking out. Like, there's something really wrong with me. Like, and I need an antibiotic. I need someone who can like prescribe something to me. Like, so I don't want someone just to, tell me to rub oils on myself, but like, I also want someone who's not just going to give me Accutane. And so I ended up finding this like section of doctors called functional medicine doctors, which are like trained MDs who then go like back and get recertified in functional medicine. And basically it's just like looking at the root cause of disease to see if there's an underlying issues that can be addressed by nutrition and lifestyle habits before using medication to intervene. I was like, that sounds rad. Like, cool. So found a really good clinic in Cincinnati, an amazing doctor, and went in and basically they did a bunch of gut biome testing on me, food sensitivity test. And listen, there's all sorts of different science out there. There's I think that food sensitivity sometimes the testing can be a little bit off and stuff, but neither here nor there. We did all these tests, and it came up that I was just having a minor sensitivity to gluten and dairy. I had like a bit of an inflammatory response to that and some added sugar.
And you realized that around the time of being almost finished with college?
Yes, I realized that right before I kind of came to San Diego. And so the doctor's basically like, hey, look, why don't you just cut out these inflammatory foods like gluten, dairy, and sugar for 6 months and don't drink any alcohol. I'm like, and I'm at college. I'm like, she's like, yeah, I'm like, she's like limited to at least 2 drinks a week. I'm like, 2 drinks. I'm like, if I go out, I'm having like 8 drinks. So what do you mean? Like 2 drinks? Like, why would I go out? Like, why would I go 2 drinks? Like,
I'll just stay home.
Let's stay home. Like, I'll drink 2 drinks in like 10 minutes.
Why even start?
Exactly. Why would I even do this? So I'm like kind of pissed, but I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be in California. And I was like, I'm like, man, I don't want to go to this internship, man, and like have this acne. And so I was just like all in, man. I was ready to do whatever it took. Like I just decided I didn't want to take Accutane. And I'm like, and what's crazy about the story is I'm someone who literally, I had like a really fast metabolism. I didn't pay attention to what I ate at all. I mean, I'd be hitting McDonald's. I was eating dessert. I grew up in a family where like my mom would make dessert every single night, and me and my brother and dad would house like chocolate chip cookies and milkshakes and me every night, dude. Like I was not into diet. Like I would drink Mountain Dew every day, Coca-Cola. I mean, like I would drink like everything. I was not into the nutrition side of fitness.
Interesting.
All this.
Okay.
So like, and like I wasn't into vegetables. Like I didn't eat, like I eat like peppers and onions. I didn't eat vegetables. I mean, so like this was like a 360. Like when this lady told me this, I was just like, no fucking way. There's no way I can do this. But I don't know, man. Like I guess I have like a pretty strong drive inside of me that like when I was like, all like the pain, I guess, you know, what's the famous like Tony Robbins, like, hey, when the pain is great enough, you'll change. And like, I just felt so much pain from the acne I was experiencing. And I just like saw like this opportunity for a new life in California. Yeah. And I was just like, fuck it. Like I'm cutting out added sugar. I'm cutting out gluten. I'm cutting out dairy. And like, bear in mind, like I was eating like peanut butter jellies, like mac and cheese, and drinking every single weekend. So I didn't even know how to go about this.
Man, how old were you?
I would have been 22.
Yeah.
22.
College, yep.
Yeah.
So when you were making the transition out here.
Right, I was making the transition. But so I went all in on this lifestyle. I was like, all right, 6 months. Like I can do it for 6 months. And so I did it for like 3 months before California. Yeah. And almost immediately, like, my skin and everything cleared like pretty dramatically. And so I started seeing results. So that kind of made me stick to it, right? And when I got out here, I continued that diet. And unbeknownst to me, really, like aside from the acne, like I used to be someone who would nap like every single afternoon. I was just generally, I felt like semi-lethargic, kind of suffered from this, like a lot of just random headaches. Just like shit that people think's kind of really normal. Yeah. And all of a sudden I ate like this for 6 months, didn't have any alcohol. And dude, I was like, I felt just like sharp as a tack. I was like, I was waking up in the morning early, no alcohol for 6 months. Yeah. And my skin cleared up and I was like, dude, this is like, whoa, like this is amazing. And so this is a long-winded way. It's this kind of the impetus of Troov though, because I basically kind of adopted that kind of lifestyle. And now I'm more flexible. I still stay away from gluten and dairy because they just do cause me some gut irritation. Yeah. And these days, you know, you can find so many cool gluten and dairy options, right? Right. But I guess to get to how I founded Troov, I really like grew up when this space exploded. So when I started eating this way about 6 years ago, people looked at you cross-eyed when you said I didn't want to eat gluten and dairy. There's nothing on the menus. Like it was really, really restricted. Well, now, I mean, over the last 6 years, I mean, you can't find a food item that doesn't have a gluten dairy free, label on. Now, I mean, there's a whole conversation about that. I mean, that doesn't make it healthy by any means. There's a lot of just like Oreos are now gluten-free and people are, oh, they're for sure. Is like, this is trash. But point being, basically, as I was eating like this, the food industry has grown to accommodate more people like that. And I've kind of still stayed on this almost like a Whole30 kind of diet. It's like I like to eat foods as close to nature as possible when I can, limit my processed foods, stay away from added sugars. I mean, just doesn't mean I don't do it, but just kind of like whenever I'm feeling off kilter, that's my bread and butter. Like, all right, I'm going to go back to that kind of eating for a couple of weeks. Yeah. I feel. However, over the last 6 years, the one thing that I could never find was a ready to drink beverage that didn't have tons of artificial sweeteners, QR gums, and just didn't have a bunch of synthetic shit in it. In the entire beverage industry, I would see all these just like energy drinks or teas and stuff, and the hilarious part is they all claim all natural. Yeah. And I'd go on the back, what do you mean all natural? I was like citric acid in it. Right. So what do you mean? Like that's not all natural. Yeah. Like though you have to sit in, it's synthetically derived. Yeah. And so that basically like a couple of years ago, I was like, I had this idea, like I still kind of liked pre-workouts and ready to drink, energy drinks. I wasn't a big fan of. I would drink Celsius and stuff every once in a while. But I was like, man, I would drink an energy drink and pre-workout all the time if it was like really healthy. And I was like, I think there's a way to do it. I'm like, I know you could do this by like attacking blood flow first with things like fermented beet. And if you got like fully brewed caffeine to even out, you get some L-theanine, some EGCG, and top it off maybe with some maca root. Yeah. And that was like my original idea. I'm like, man, like I think some fully brewed green tea, some beetroot, and some maca like could be a pretty good like healthy energy drink. And so
just to pause there. By the way, the ingredients he just listed are actually listed on the packaging of the drink itself, of the label rather. So like, because you see caffeine, L-theanine, and EGCG, right? And then you have the fermented beetroot, you have the how do you say it?
L-citrulline.
Citrulline, yeah. So you just named those off. Did you know about these from your studies in college? And then you just kind of creatively thought about, hey, what do I know as far as all the different ingredients or, sources that I've studied of what can solve this or that type of problem based off my experience compared to the current energy drink market, so to say.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, a lot of what's cool about this story is most of this experience came from meeting with functional medicine doctors. So what it gets, it's one of those moments where people are like, oh, everything happens for a reason. It's like, I can truly say a lot of this, like having like this acne experience was like one of the most painful things. Like changing my entire diet was like something like overhauling. It was like this dramatic thing. But now looking back, like, because I dove head first and I wanted to know everything. Because I've always been obsessed with like science and fitness. So when I meet with these functional medicine doctors, and again, it's almost like a story of my clients. Like I was paying them, but I saw them as like my mentors. So I'm like, because I want to know this information because I was a personal trainer. I wanted to help people with this shit too. Yeah. Because so many of my clients deal with it. So every time I met with my functional medicine doctor, I'd have like a laundry list of questions, right? I'm like, hey, what about this supplement? What about that supplement? How do I'm like, what if I want to increase muscle mass, but I want to do it naturally? Yeah. So for years, as I was doing that, they kind of became my learning. Yeah. And so when I was thinking about how to do a natural energy drink, a lot of the learning came from them and came from my own self-experimentation.
Wow. Okay. So that's cool. That just shows how organic the idea was.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right. So then how did it come to fruition?
Yeah. So a couple years back, so this is about 2 years ago,
2021.
Yep. I had this idea. I start taking just some green tea. I started brewing green tea, and I'm like, all right, let me like start taking this for a workout. Like, okay, it's pretty interesting. I'm like, like I wonder if there's like I think there's other ingredients that'd be good. And like I'm like, okay, I need nitrates basically. I'm like, nitrates. So nitrates convert to nitrites in your bloodstream, which converts to nitric oxide. And nitric oxide increases vasodilation, increases blood flow, and basically makes breathing feel easier and increases cardiovascular output. Yeah. And there's a lot of different ways that people attack getting nitric oxide into different formulas, but I wanted to do it naturally, and I knew that nitrates occurred naturally in celery and in fermented meat, or not just fermented meat, just beets in general. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, at first I thought I wanted celery juice, and so I started experimenting with like fully brewed green tea and celery juice. I was like, oh, the taste of this is kind of off. Maybe I want that, or maybe I want beets. Yeah. So that was the second component. I basically started experimenting with green tea and beets, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty nice. And then and sometimes I would also like take like an L-theanine capsule, so add in even more theanine than what's in green tea. And so that was kind of the iteration process.
How were you testing all this? Were you just
this is just on myself? Yeah, this is in my kitchen. Yeah, it's like I'm just like brewing green tea and then like slugging back like eating beets or like slugging back a beet powder. Yeah, because at the time I had a gym in my garage, right? So I just like do this shit and then and get out there, man. And so along the process, I ended up basically I'm doing all this stuff. I'm researching stuff, and I figure out that nature is not even. And what I mean by nature not being even is that, like, I was like, well, I'm kind of hung up on the idea because I'm like, okay, man, maybe someone could just like buy a green juice and drink like coffee and get this benefit. But what I realized is that when someone says, oh, there's like 3 apples in this or 3 oranges in this, that doesn't tell you anything because the vitamin and mineral content across multiple apples is different, right? So what you're looking for is like the functional ingredients in those. So I end up finding an ingredient supplier who standardizes every single batch of beets for nitrates, right? So instead of selling you beets by the pound, hey, I have 10 pounds of beets, they say, hey, I have 1,000 milligrams of nitrates. And that's what matters, right? Who cares about how many pounds, for my sake, who cares about how many pounds of beets? I care about how many nitrates. Yeah. So I get this supplier, and through this supplier, because I'm basically just like find them, and I'm trying to order some of their, dude, who the hell, like, who are you? You know what I mean? Like, who do you work for? I'm like, no, I'm just like experimenting, dude. Like, I want some high nitrate beet. Yeah. What the hell? Yeah. And so and so they start asking questions. I kind of tell them like my idea, and they're like, man, you should like get in touch with this company who does beverage formulas. Like they're an incubator kind of company, and what they do is you pitch them on your idea, and you put down a down payment, and then they want to give you ingredient, they want to sell you ingredients on the back end, but basically they'll start formulating this for you. I was like, okay, like, yeah, that sounds sick, right? So another one of those just like serendipitous moments. Called this company. I basically pitched them on an idea, like, yeah, I want this like 100% plant-based, like all natural energy drink. Like, here. Yeah, I was like, at the time, I had a list of ingredients I knew I wanted. Then I had a list of ingredients that were found in energy drinks and pre-workouts that were synthetically derived that I knew were effective. And I had question marks next to them. Hey, is there any way to get this, like L-citrulline? This is synthetically derived. Is there any way to find it in nature? So those were my 2 lists. Presented them the formulators with that. They were stoked on it. They're like, yeah, like basically you said to put down X amount of money, and we'll start formulating for you. I was like, all right, sure, I'm gonna put down this money. So put down the money, and they start sending me drinks. I'm like, this is insane. I'm like, this is sick. Like I just someone is sending me the formula that I'm coming up with. With the drinks, I literally just start drinking them myself, giving them to my friends, and sampling all my clients. Wow. Like, so I have all these clients, so I'm training at my house. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, you guys are my guinea pigs, man. Like, hey, check out this new drink, right? Yeah. Well, what I had no idea too is that was basically my seed round. Right? Yeah. Nice. That's like technically it's like your pre-seed round.
So when you started making these guinea pigs out of your clients and friends, how many different iterations of the drink?
There was about 4 different iterations. Okay. In the beginning, we had some like protein in it, which was cool. But it caused a little bit too much sediment. And keep in mind, I mean, the learning experience was crazy, right? I mean, the beverage is nuts because I'm so particular on the ingredients, but at the end of the day, in business as well, you have to be somewhat mindful of the cost. Yeah. So I wanted all these things in there, but then like it was like, okay, well the bill of materials, like you're gonna have to charge like $30 for a drink. Right? I was like, okay. Yeah. So it was this cool balance of like it really made you like line by line, like what ingredients are absolutely necessary. Yeah. So that I can get this thing to be effective, and also I can price it at somewhere where people can buy it. It's reasonable.
Yeah. Did you actually think about just coming out with the most expensive like sports drink ever though?
Oh yeah.
I've once you're like deep into doing all this work, thinking, damn, I could create the Hulk of all these freaking energy drinks and protein drinks, whatever, and charge $30 a pop. Maybe it'll work.
Maybe it'll work. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'd still like to do it. I mean, we kind of met in the middle here. Like this is like we'll get into it. Troov is it's kind of like it's definitely a premium product. It's like, because we kept like the fermented beet, which is like a really expensive ingredient, badass ingredient. Like it definitely is still a premium drink. Got it. But yeah, it absolutely crossed my mind. Like maybe make it $30, right? Yeah. For other reasons, we can dive into like in terms of cost. It would have been this thing. Insurmountable amount of risk because you have to pay up front for all of it. So like I would have been taking a huge gamble, assuming people would be paying $30.
Yeah, no, it's better to not take that risk.
Yeah, totally. But it's just just to continue, I guess the story. I'm sampling on my clients, sampling on myself, and getting a lot of education the entire process. Right. So these formulators are really cool. I'm working with food scientists. Some people who are in beverage, and they're just kind of giving me the economics and things, how the industry works, co-packing the suppliers. I'm like, whoa, this is just like wild. Like I'm from the service-based industry, and so the product industry is just a lot different. I mean, it's way, the product-based businesses in my experience are way heavier on business savvy. Just from like it's pretty easy, I guess, like especially if you're like a sole proprietor, like an independent trainer, like, okay, you have like that's your one revenue stream. Like you have X amount of hours in a day, you charge this amount of money, like you can put like you can write off this. Like it's not that complicated, man. Right. Like you're not buying things. There's no lead time for ingredients. There's no minimum quantity orders. There's no co-package. There's no manufacturer. There's no terms. I mean, so I didn't understand any of this stuff, right?
Especially in the nutrition space where you have the FDA and all these.
You got the FDA. Yeah, you got food and beverage. It's super subjective. Yeah. Right? I mean, you got people's safety. Yeah. There's just a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, anyways, this is going on for like 3 months, right? Where I'm getting this stuff in. Man, I'm super naive, right? I'm running an in-person training business, and I'm also running an online training business. Yeah. And I've been doing it for a couple of years, and I liked both of them. And here I'm super innocently thinking, I'm like, all right, sweet. I finally get to a formula where I like it a lot, and my clients are saying it's good. They're like, sick. I'm like, I'm gonna produce like a couple thousand of these.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna like make a couple thousand extra dollars a month selling it to my clients online and in person. Well, at that point, I'm talking, luckily, to my father and then to my client, and both of them, as nicely as possible, are like, hey, you should probably pull up like the like the business, like the P&L sheets and like whatever public information's out there for beverage companies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, like they're like hundreds of millions of dollars, like billions. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's this is like, you basically like, you can't get into this industry like. It's not easy. It's not like a service business where you can just like all like with a couple $1,000 like get into this. Like you're gonna need a lot of money to get in this, and like you're also like you have to wrap your head around the fact that if you want to make this successful, like you're gonna need to wrap your head around like being a CEO of a multi-million-dollar business.
Right.
Whoa, like that's very intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, all right,
for real.
And luckily, I guess so while it was intimidating, that was actually extremely enticing to me.
Yeah.
I was at a point in my life where I had been training for 6 years, had been doing the online training thing. And I was just like, I felt like I had kind of conquered everything I wanted to there.
Yeah.
So like I was digging my clients and stuff, but I have like a lot of energy and a lot of drive. And I was just ruminating. I'm like, man, I just want something like a bigger goal to tackle. But I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was. And so I was like, man, that seems like big. I'm like, that seems really hard. Like that's scaring the shit out of me. But at the same time, like I feel like I should do that. And right around that, I'm having this conversation with one of my clients, and he had been a great mentor the entire time. He'd been a part of many startups, tons of startups, more like so like there's a lot of different theories on business, but I suppose there's a book called like Ready, Fire, Aimed. I don't know if you've read it. If you're into entrepreneurship, it's amazing.
Okay.
It's like Ready, Fire, Aim, 0 to 100 million, 0 time flat. And he kind of defines businesses in stages like 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4.
Yep.
Anyways, this guy had been a part of a lot of startups, like from like phase 1 to 2, 10 to $100 million phases. And I've been an angel investor in a lot of stuff and been my client for 6 years. And a really good guy. The guy had got drinks with plenty of times, partied with before. And he's just like, man, look, you're super passionate about this space. I've trained with you for this many years. Like, I know you, like you're, into entrepreneurship. He's like, I'd be more than happy to come in with it, like to lighten the burdens, like take some risk with you, put down upfront money with you, and show you the way, right? He's like, you're going to need a lot of things. Like, you're going to need to get this thing branded.
That's so cool.
You're going to need the manufacturer. And he's like, I don't want to be a part of the day-to-day, but like, we'll train and I'll mentor you on it and I'll give you some money.
Yeah, you basically found your own shark tank.
And I was like, and like at that point, right, it was one of those things where it's like, how can I turn this down?
Yeah.
Like once again, like all this, like I never set out to like create a drink company. Like it was never on my radar.
Yeah.
But like one thing, I started experimenting in the kitchen. I found a beverage formulator. I started iterating. Someone offered me money. And I'm like, sounds like I can't turn this down.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. God, that's so cool. Well, dude, yeah, that's helpful. Thanks for sharing that whole story. That's awesome. I mean, I like one thing that I was just thinking of was in one of my recent podcasts is the idea came up around how instead of having an idea and then trying to go find other things to support that idea, reverse that to, hey, what do I have access to? What resources do I have? And then what can I make out of this?
Yeah.
That kind of lines up, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. 100%.
Yeah.
I think it does 100%. Yeah. Cause I mean, in truth be told, like I said, when I was training clients, I'm someone who was like I love learning, right? I love consuming information, hearing opinions and stuff. And I always had in my mind, man, the people who I train, they're so successful. Like, I just know, like, I want to do something bigger than training. I feel like they're catalysts for that, right? Yeah. So like, I was always kind of like aware of like, somehow I feel like the opportunity could present itself. Yeah. And then it's all,
That's awesome.
This drink sits at the cross section of so many things I'm passionate about, man.
Yeah.
And so many relationships that haven't gone well. Yeah. That's really cool. It's been a really fun project.
That's so cool. Okay. Yeah. That's a great way to tie it together. So there's the story about Troov, your background.
Yep.
Cool. We just have a few minutes, but I do want to ask just some more specific business questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like first,
I'm fine. I mean, I'm fine on time. I don't.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For the name Troov.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that?
Okay. So are we short on time? You want the full story or short? I got some long stories behind this. Yeah, absolutely. So Troov, it stands for True Groove. So basically, when I was formulating this, I'm really into something called flow state, which to me is like the art of being in the present moment. And I think one of the things that's really key about flow state is almost like the rhythm cycle. Yeah. And what I mean by that is finding something today that you can repeat tomorrow. And when I look at the energy space, it's a lot of drinks, almost like Adderall, that give you a spark of energy today, but they deplete your central nervous system the days after, right? So you're getting energy today and stealing from tomorrow. So our motto at Troov is energy today that doesn't steal from tomorrow. Yeah. And to me, nothing was more synonymous with that than flow state. Yeah. So I brought that idea to the branding agency, and we essentially were like, hey, what's a word that's synonymous with flow state? We thought it was groove. Now groove was already trademarked, so we're like, let's come up with our own word. Yeah. Let's call it True. Let's call it Troov, and it stands for True Groove. Okay. And that's why the logo is like almost infinity, and it's really it's hard, and it's hard to read, and that's on purpose, right? Because it's one of those marks that we think that pulls people in without even telling them. It feels like flow state.
Interesting. Wow, I can see that. Very cool. Okay, and yeah, we got a couple of Troovs right here in front of us. Drinking one during this podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. Go give it a try.
Oh yeah. Okay, well that's cool. Okay, so I want to briefly touch on manufacturing and distribution. Yep. So you obviously invented this product. You experimented. You found it, and then how are you mass producing this? Yep. And then I'm curious about what your distribution strategy is. What have you done so far with that? Like, how are you getting them into stores or to distributors? And then what are you trying to do next? So let's start off with the manufacturing piece.
Yeah, so the manufacturing piece by far is the hardest piece in this entire whole.
I bet.
It took me every bit of like the entire process of 2 years of formulating to figure out where I was going to produce it at. And so I found manufacturing over in like Texas. Yeah. So that's where we're producing this at. You face a lot of challenges there, mostly in the form of minimal quantity orders. So we're manufacturing there. In terms of different distribution, it's self-distribution right now. I mean, if there's an independent distribution company listening to this that wants to pick us up, we're all ears. There we go. But a lot of the game is kind of showing it's chicken before the egg, right? Like you need, in order to get a distributor, they kind of want to see you in grocers. In order to get in grocers, they kind of want to see you picked up by a distributor. So you kind of just got to hustle it at first, unless you have someone with a huge audience, like Logan Paul or something, right? That can just knock on the door and get you in there. Sure. So right now though, self-distribution, because of my connections in the gym industry, we are now sold in 6 gyms here in San Diego. So we're in all the fit athletic gyms. We're in Balance Fitness, and we're in a gym I interned at, Fitness Quest 10. We're doing direct to consumer through our website. Okay. So we still sell a lot of cases online. Yep.
What's a case? How many drinks?
So 12 pack, 12 bottles in a case.
Cool. And what does that go for?
That's $58.99, so $4.99 a bottle.
Cool. Okay.
And then we are hoping here in the next probably 6 to 12 months to be on Amazon, and then pick up a sales broker to get us in like the natural food channel. Nice. So expand to the Jimbos, the Gelsons, more the independent retailers probably this first year. And then probably look to fundraise a little bit more and hopefully get, more mass distribution in, probably year 2 to 3.
Okay. So I want to ask about Amazon because you said that. Like, I think a lot of these kind of more, niche products out there, especially in this space, I've noticed they tend to avoid Amazon because they take such a big cut, right? Yep. Like, are you comfortable with the margins that you have now to expand onto Amazon? So
it's something we have to play around with the numbers a little bit more, right? I think that as an entrepreneur, you're always balancing growth and profitability, and they sit at two opposite ends of the spectrum. I think that the problem in beverage is that a lot of times you don't get to profitability until you get to massive growth. Yeah. Because a lot of the margin comes, there's such high minimum quantity orders. In order to lower your cost of goods, you need to have a lot of sales, right? So you're taking a lot of risk by going on Amazon because a lot of times when you go on there in the beginning, you don't have the margin structure to be profitable. Yeah. However, you're making a bet that hopefully by going on Amazon, that we are able to increase sales so dramatically that then we are going to have enough cash to then lower our COGS to then make it profitable in the future. Okay. So that's a decision that we'll have to make here moving forward.
Very cool. Love it, man. All right. Well, so as far as everything you're working on right now, Troov is a majority of your focus right now.
Yep.
Right. Do you have any help? Like, are you doing everything yourself, or do you have help with certain areas with the work you have to do?
Yeah, so a lot of it's myself. I obviously have, a couple of different mentors. I have a board of advisors who's great, but they're more mentors, right? They're not really getting their hands dirty.
Sure.
A lot.
Yeah.
We had a branding agency we hired who was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Who did all the branding and a lot of the website stuff. So we have them as a contractor.
Okay.
And I have some independent contractors. No one else who's full time. My brother lives here, so he helps me hustle a little bit. But just me right now. So
you have an LLC then?
We have an LLC.
Yeah. Okay.
LLC.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome, man. All right. And this is like a fun question I'm asking everybody just in your journey so far through entrepreneurship. If there's one entrepreneurial life hack that you've come up with that's like against the mainstream belief, that's unique to you, a lesson learned, so to say, that you can share with the audience, for people who are trying to build something, entrepreneurs, who have that type of mindset, what would you say that is?
Yeah, that is tough. I think for one, probably be okay working alone. And make an effort if you're someone who is extroverted to have a life outside of the business to balance out the fact that you're going to have to do a lot of work alone.
Yeah.
And the other one, it goes into like my experience being like a flow state coach. I actually did this entire like program through a guy named Stephen Kotler, who, if your audience is listening into entrepreneurship, they should totally check him out.
Okay.
One of the godfathers of flow state. And I think that the other thing is recognizing that in entrepreneurship, if you believe that the entrepreneurship is an infinite game, meaning that like the only way to lose is to stop playing the game.
Yeah.
Then you automatically win as long as you just stay in the game long enough. Mm-hmm. And in order to stay in the game long enough, though, you need to take strategic periods of rest. Yes. Right. So burnout is so common. And it's not just physically and mentally. Like, it's just a thing when you're working all the time and you all of a sudden you have no friends, you have nothing to do. You become really lonely. And those things cause people to drop out of the game a lot more than, hey, you know what? Maybe be aware of the fact you've been pushing really hard. You still want to push one day, but there's great discipline in taking a day off when you don't necessarily want to, with the foresight knowing that it's going to allow you to push harder in the weeks to come. So I think having the discipline around like resting from work is extremely important.
Well said. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, totally.
Man, well, Max, this is an awesome story. It's really cool how you brought this all together, how you connected all the dots to found Troov and to see what you're doing with it. The marketing you're doing is awesome. I've been watching your stuff on social media and, doing these events at the fit gyms and so forth. How can people who are watching this get involved? How can they support you? How can they find you online and try out Troov, become customers? Yeah,
well, I appreciate that. This has been an awesome podcast. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, man.
You can check us out at Drake Troov on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to find us. So DRINKTROOV. I run the Instagram, so message us. We're sold in those gyms, right? Sold in all the Fit Athletic gyms. We're sold in Balance Fitness, both in La Jolla and Little Italy, and then Fitness Quest 10. Hopefully rolling out some more gyms here soon. I'm local here in the area, so we'd love for you to buy off our website, which is www.drinktroov.com. I'll personally deliver it to you, and reach out to me on Instagram if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And also, I'm more than happy too if you're like, hey, I don't know about one of these flavors. Like, hey, if you're in the area, I'll give you a couple free samples. I'd love for you to try. We're just getting out there. And the last thing is, check us out on Instagram to see what events we're doing. A lot of sampling. So we're going to be at like the F45 in La Jolla this Saturday. This podcast probably won't be out by then. But all June and July, we're literally going to have samplings around San Diego, Core Power, yoga boxes all the time. So if you guys are members there and see us on the Instagram, come by and say what's up.
Perfect. I love the hustle, man. One last question I forgot. Is there anyone else that you would recommend to have that I should have on the podcast who are in a similar position? I'm bringing people on like you, entrepreneurs, people who have a mindset, they're building something. Yeah.
They're I have a lot of entrepreneur friends. Hey, you already had Kieran on, right? Kieran's my good buddy of mine. You know who has a sweet product that has been out for a couple of years? There's a girl named Maxine.
Okay.
She runs a company called Surf Dirt. It's a all natural sunscreen made specifically for surfers. She like produces it like in house. It's like super high grade, really badass. She's local to San Diego, so you should be a good person to have on.
Okay, I'll follow up with you on that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
sweet. Well, Max, great conversation, man. Thanks so much for being on, dude. I can't wait to see how people respond to this and your story and to try Troov, man. Guys, it's good stuff. It got me through this podcast. It's been a week, and so we're recording this on a Friday. So this kind of was a lifesaver. So
yeah, man, hell yeah. I'm stoked you did. Like I said, I can't wait to share this with the world. I'm super passionate about it. I'm super open about it. So I look forward to hearing from you guys, and thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely, Max. Thanks a lot, man.
Right on.
Okay, bye, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you for joining our conversation today on the Nichols and Dimes Show. Please check out and follow my podcast Instagram at Nichols and Dimes Show. I'd love to have you subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube. You can also find it on my website. I welcome and encourage any feedback you can share in the reviews so I can continue to improve and develop the show. Thanks again, and see you next time.